Happy Thursday, Live in Truth community. Make sure to stay tuned after the episode to hear Nifiah's interview about diabetes and summer safety on WGPR Hot 107.5, Your Health Matters segment hosted by Karen Dumas. Happy Thursday, Live in Truth community. Welcome to another episode of the Live in Truth podcast. I am your host, Sean. I am joined by...
You are not the host.
He
told a fib. I am the host. Sean is the producer.
That's true. I apologize. I am the producer, Sean, and I am joined by your host, Nifiah.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl, Nifiah.
Oh, my gosh. Full transparency, guys. It is late in the day. We are way past recording time, and you can already hear that things are off the rails.
Totally off the rails. But let's get back on track here.
So last week, we talked about diabetes, and we sort of, I feel like you went into depth, but for lack of a better term, scratched the surface. You talked about all of the different types of diabetes. And you gave a pretty good description of, what some of the symptoms were, what that looked like. But this week, we wanted to go even more in depth. I believe you termed it talking about diabetes head to toe.
Correct. Last week, we did an introduction and overview of the different types of diabetes. We talked about prediabetes, type 1, type 2 diabetes, and gestational diabetes. Now we're going to start to break them down. So today we're discussing diabetes head to toe, starting exactly where we can stop it. And we're going to start with prediabetes. What that is a glucose level higher than normal. It's also known as impaired glucose tolerance. 88% of people are pre-diabetic, and 90% of those people don't even know it. That's 1 in 3 of every adult. When we talk about adults, we mean 18 and older. When you're diagnosed as pre-diabetic, you would have a fasting blood glucose of 100 to 125. Fasting means that you hadn't eaten or drank before that lab work was done. You could also have a random blood glucose performed, and your numbers would be between 140 to 199. Additionally, your hemoglobin A1C or HbA1c would be between 5.7 and 6.4. And what that is the average level of blood glucose over a period of 3 months. So that demonstrates how high your blood glucose has been on average for the past 3 months when you get that A1C done.
So just before you go any farther, I would like to ask you a little bit more for mine and the audience's understanding about what some of these numbers mean. So where should you be aiming for your fasting and random blood glucose levels to be?
So for your fasting blood glucose, you want that to be between 70 and 100. For your random, the ADA recommends not greater than 180. And then for your A1C, you always want that below 5.7. So let's take it from the top. We are talking about prediabetes from head to toe. So we're going to start with your head, your brain. When you are experiencing prediabetes, you might also be experiencing mood swings, anxiousness, irritability, and the inability to concentrate, fogginess. And that's when the blood sugar levels in the brain are higher than normal. And that excess sugar makes you feel the way that you're feeling. You need healthy blood glucose for mental well-being. Additionally, poor sleep hygiene and late night activities. And when I say poor sleep hygiene, that means you don't have a regular bedtime schedule. You might sleep more during the day than you do at night, or you might have horrible insomnia and not sleep at all. Your late night activities can include being on your phone, watching TV, sleeping with the TV on. I know a lot of people sleep with the TV on, or working late. Additionally, doing work in the bed when you should be sleeping, doing things in the bedroom other than sleep. That's poor sleep hygiene. Another thing you might experience is tiredness, even when you're not exerting yourself. So you could have a sit down job, not be doing any work, and you're extremely tired. Additionally, the inability to do mild or moderate activity without severe fatigue. You might also experience severe restlessness, even when extremely tired due to high blood glucose levels. So when you're trying to sleep, you're unable to sleep. The good thing about all of this is when your blood sugar is back in its normal range, then those symptoms subside.
And I'm sure you'll get into this as we go, but just in case not, is there a clear way to tell if some of these symptoms are coming from prediabetes or perhaps another chronic illness or something else you may be dealing with?
There is a way. This is why you want to stay connected with your healthcare provider. When you get your labs done at your annual visit, your blood work generally can reveal if there is something else going on. So if you can't explain away why you're tired, so if you can't tell me when you come to visit me, oh, Nifiah, I don't sleep well, or I work 2 jobs, then we might be looking at prediabetes. If there's not a valid reason to explain your fatigue or your tiredness away or previous diagnosis, behavioral health issue, we would definitely be looking at prediabetes. So to continue on, we're going to look at your eyes. You might be experiencing blurred vision. Your increased blood sugar causes swelling in the eye, which changes the shape of the lens, and that causes your vision to be blurred, as well as putting strain on the eye muscle. So a lot of people recognize, one of the first things they recognize is that their vision changes. They can't see well. So that's a complaint. I can't see well. Things are blurry. We would look at those blood sugar levels to determine if that could be the cause of your vision issues.
And with strain and changing the shape, are there any other telltale signs as far as the eyes go, as far as discoloration or irritation?
Not really discoloration unless there's something else going on, maybe with your liver. Irritation, yes, there could be some irritation, specifically with the swelling, again, and the tiredness, the inability to sleep. So some of these symptoms look like one thing, and they might be completely something else. We continue on with your mouth or your digestive system. Your mouth is the beginning of your digestive tract. So you may be experiencing excessive thirst due to excessive urination because your kidneys can't keep up with the excess glucose in your cells, and it's excreted in the urine, which causes you to be more thirsty and drink more, which leads to more urination. And if you're pre-diabetic, let's be real, generally you're not drinking plain water, you're drinking something sweet. So you continue to increase your sugar levels, and it's just a horrible, vicious cycle. You experience hunger and weight gain. That's due to insulin resistance, which makes it hard to lose weight. Insulin resistance makes you hungry. That extra blood glucose tells your pancreas to make more insulin, but the more insulin encourages more fat storage. Again, it's a vicious cycle. You may also have experienced digestive issues such as gas, bloating, early satiety. And what that means is you get full fast, and constipation. These are all telltale signs. And that's because the vagus nerve is damaged. So the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body, and it's responsible for both sensory and motor functions. And your digestion is a motor function. So when that nerve is damaged, you have major digestive issues.
And what leads into causing that critical damage to the vagus nerve? Is that just nutrition, drinking habits, exercise habits, or?
The vagus nerve is damaged from the increased blood glucose, and it can happen with injury. It can be damaged from a number of things. Again, that nerve runs from your brain stem all the way down to your feet. So it could be damaged from a ton of things, but in this case, it's the excess blood sugar.
Wonderful. Or I suppose not one. Terrible.
Terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's terrible because, again, it is responsible for sensory and motor functions, and we'll get more into it. But your sensory functions, that's your ability to touch and feel, right, to smell, things like that, to see. And so you can see where it ties in at. if your diabetes is exacerbating, if that pre-diabetes is progressing to diabetes. Now it's affecting your eyes. As we go through the body systems, you'll see how it affects your nerves. You get messed up pretty bad.
Right.
So continue to go from head to toe, your body. You experience slow wound healing. So individuals with diabetes or pre-diabetes, they might notice that they don't heal as quickly. A wound won't heal as quickly. And if you progress to full-blown type 2 diabetes, sometimes those wounds never heal.
Wow.
Acanthosis nigricans. You might have seen someone before with a very dark neck all the way around their neck, around their nose is very dark. Their skin under their arms is dark. If you have a partner or you've seen someone in swimwear, their groin skin area is very dark. And so that's just dark skin in those areas. And sometimes you might also have skin tags. That is very indicative of diabetes.
It's very interesting that you say that. I don't know if this is the first episode you're listening to. Nifiah is my mother. Where I was going is I remember some years back that you had a skin tag. And I remember me and my dad, we used some at-home methods to get rid of it. But obviously then I had no idea that was a clear sign of prediabetes, which you would go on to be diagnosed with. So This is very enlightening.
Yeah. And a lot of people just don't know, especially in people of color, the dark neck and the dark underarms. We just think that is a part of our skin tone.
Yeah, maybe just uneven skin.
Right. And it's not. What people might recognize when I say this, often you might see a pregnant woman and her neck is very, very dark.
Sure.
And in between her skin folds, it's very dark. If you knew that woman or asked that woman, she might have already been diagnosed with gestational diabetes or might have had a history of diabetes prior to being pregnant. So we've talked about your brain, your eyes, your mouth, your body. Let's get into the limbs. Neuropathy, that's numbness and tingling in the feet and in the hands. And the number one cause of neuropathy is diabetes. Those aching joints that you think is just a part of aging, not true. Diabetes causes lower body joint pain and inflammation, osteoarthritis, which is due to low activity and obesity. And on the last episode, we talked about individuals who have been diagnosed with diabetes, who are not overweight, who are not considered obese. However, a very high number of individuals who are pre-diabetic or diabetic are obese, and that weight causes the inflammation in the joints. So we want to ensure that we're moving. If we are overweight or obese, we want to get that weight off with physical activity and a plant-based diet. Moving from your limbs to your organs, and this is very significant. Diabetes causes kidney damage. Even before you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes can cause kidney damage. This is indicated by albuminuria, which is liver protein in the blood, and your EGFR. And that tells you how well your kidneys are working.
And you already know, you're going to have to explain what a EGFR is. What does that mean?
EGFR is your estimated glomerular filtration rate. And you want that greater than 90.
I'm not going to ask you to explain this, but now I need an explanation for what all of those words mean, but we can carry on.
We don't want to get really, really deep into it, but it's how your kidneys are filtering things out of them.
Sure.
So you need that number to be a good number. So the lower the number in this case, the worse your kidneys are.
So what happens if you don't know you're heading down this path? What happens if you're not taking the steps to halt some of these potential life-threatening developments?
If you don't do something now and you don't take those necessary actions to reverse the diagnosis of prediabetes, you are at risk for progression of full-blown diabetes and the complications of the disease which lead to death.